Right to be Read podcast, episode number 119.
You are listening to the Right to be Read podcast, and this is your host, Ani Alexander.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Right to be Read podcast. It's me, Ani Alexander, and as always with each episode I will try to inspire and encourage you. Today we have no guests, today it's just me, my voice, my thoughts, and very short solo episode. So, actually, I had to air today a new solo episode, and until just a few minutes ago, I had absolutely no idea what to talk about. So I jumped to Facebook, I asked my friends, I received several really nice ideas, which I will actually address very soon. But meanwhile, while I was surfing the internet, I came up with something which eventually made me think of making this episode. So actually, I read somewhere that 81% of people say they want to write a book and only 1% do. And to me, it was really sad discovery. Why? Well, because as I have already told many times before, unread story is a broken dream. So what about those 80% of people who want to write a book and don't? Why do they give up their dream? Why don't they write a book if they want to? All they have to do is sit and write, right? Well, wrong. Those 80% have their reasons. And I have been there too, and I think I know some of the reasons that keep them away from their dream. They all have stories locked in their soul and messages inside that stay silent. They all would love to share their stories, but they can't. And although it is sad, it can be explained. So today I decided to make a solo episode about those 80% and try to explain why they stayed where they were while the other tiny 1% only actually wrote their books. So when you talk to them, and I've tried to understand this, and I talked to many wannabe writers, let's say, and when I'm asking them, if you want to write a book, why don't you write it? They come up with different reasons. Well, they say, I don't have time, I don't have a good idea, I'm not ready yet. And then they come up with a follow-up phrases that are supposed to make things sound better. So they follow with, one day I will do it. I will start as soon as I get more free time. I'm writing it in my head right now, and so on. So now, I know it will sound cruel, and many of you might not like hearing this, but I don't believe a single word. And what I believe instead is that those are just excuses, and the real reasons for not writing that book are completely different. And the real reasons for not writing the book are much deeper. Because, look, no one has time, but everyone can make time. Many don't have ideas, but they can come up with new ideas. And none of us was ready when we started writing our first books with absolutely no clue on how to do it. And on the other hand, after all, if 1% can do it, the other 80% can do it too, I'm sure. So what are the real reasons then? Well, I might not know them all, but I can tell you the reasons I had myself a while ago before I wrote my first book. So the biggest reason was that I was afraid. I was afraid to share my writings with others. Putting myself in the vulnerable situation where strangers could judge me was pretty scary. I was afraid of criticism, and I had fear of failure. I had writer's doubts. I wasn't sure that my writing was good enough. I wasn't writing novels because I was not sure that I could finish them. And what if I do start writing a book and never finish? Well, it would feel like failure. And the other part was the permission. I had a feeling that someone had to allow me to write a book. I thought like, who am I to write a book? What do I know about writing? Why should people actually read what I write? And I felt like I was not entitled to become an author. I thought that my writing should be no more than a hobby. And I was waiting for someone to tell me that I can write. And only years and years later, I realized that we don't need permission to be writers. We don't need to want to be a writer. We don't need to decide to become a writer. All we need to do is decide to be one. And going back to the sad statistics again, 81% of people say they want to write a book, and only 1% do. And I've been in the 80% group until just a few years ago. And I'd love to see the 80% decreasing, because I'd love less unread stories and less broken dreams. So in which group are you at right now? If it's the 80%, which are your reasons? Please email me at ani@anialexander.com, Ani spelled A-N-I, and let's try to change the statistics. Because I really hated what I read today. And meanwhile, keep writing, even if it's only for yourself for now. Well, take care, and I'll meet you again this week.